Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is May 11th, 2025. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers watching.
All you motherfuckers.
Did you
What
call,
is
did you call
going
your
on?
mom?
I called my mom. That's the good deed of the day. What about you?
It's not Mother's Day in Bulgaria, so it's a different date. But
Is it a different day? In London, it's in March. In Britain, it's in March.
yeah, it's the same in Bulgaria, March.
I
Yeah,
wonder why it's March. What's the reason?
I think it's an International Women's Day, so they kind of made it the same as for mothers.
Very smart.
Yeah.
All
All
right, well,
right.
happy
So
Father's Day.
what about Father's Day?
Every day is Father's Day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Um, I mean, we're looking at the chart of the QQQ, and as we talked in the past few weeks, news-wise, there wasn't a reason to be aggressive and to buy, but technically, just the price section was telling you that you have to be looking for long ideas.
Mhm.
And my explanation was that just that means that enough people have inside information and are acting on it, and it seems like that was the case. As we're starting to see, trade deals or trade deal attempts, and the market is liking them. We are seeing positive market reaction to so-called bad news. I mean, for example, last week the Federal Reserve they kept the rate the same, and they were very cautionary regarding the possibilities of rising uncertainty, inflation, and unemployment. But the market didn't sell off. The market rallied on that, and the same with quite a few stocks that are meeting estimates or even missing it by a little bit, but then even warning about future uncertainty and then still going up. And when you see this type of market reaction, this is kind of how bottoms are formed when you see positive reaction to bad news. And I don't know if this is a bottom. I don't know if this is the low for the year. Nobody knows. But in the past few weeks, we've seen increasingly improving price action with more stocks breaking out and holding. What are you seeing?
Yep. And tonight, their futures are up because
Up 2%, yes. So big gap tomorrow.
real move in a Sunday, and that's just because, Besant saying there's a deal or some kind of trade deal. We'll see. The money's flowing in. Crypto ran, risk is back on in a lot of sectors, but you still see the China stuff is still not moving, right? Like if you look at Deckers and you look at Apple,
Maybe tomorrow we'll see big gaps because I saw Amazon is up
I'm
4%.
long Deckers as my China, idea.
It'll probably gap up tomorrow significantly. I
I
mean,
still, I still don't believe there's any real news. And in looking at the market, if you go back to the S&P,
when expectations are so low, you don't,
everything but
yeah.
the Chinese stocks like a Decker and like NVIDIA, anything that really has no ties to China has not had a huge correction. So this all set out is just a lot of noise as usual. And if you take away everything, what do tariffs really say? It's really saying I'm in charge and we've got a klepto, cut a deal with Trump in the White House. Come kiss the ring. And it's really just very un-Republican, right? So I don't know what the party has morphed into, but it sounds a lot more like Bernie Sanders than capitalism. So let's see how the markets close tomorrow. I mean, for the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about long positions. If I look at Robinhood, even Tesla,
Yeah.
right? Tesla's up 40% and 30% off the lows, but Robinhood's up almost 100% off the lows. Tesla's up 30%, um,
Yeah.
only on bad news. So the question is, do they sell this news at some point tomorrow? I don't know. But the better time to buy was when the VIX was at 60. So the good news is there's bases, and I was looking at some new breakouts. Like if you look at, I was looking at a couple of like if you look at Toast, TOST, right? I don't know what their international exposure is, but I mean they're kicking Square's ass, XYZ, right? So Square has just lost this business. So retail, if you look at Toast, you would think retail in the United States is fine, right? Because they make look at XYZ, which is Square Block, and it's a completely other story. So good products with growth are working. Um, but at the same time, it's a stock pickers kind of market. If you bought the right stocks at the lows, you're doing much better than just buying the averages, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so how are the financials doing?
Yeah, basically the same as the S&P, basically. A little bit better because they're above the 50, above the 200 days. So better, definitely better. Setting up near
Yeah,
they're probably gonna try to break out tomorrow.
yeah,
So definitely better.
yeah. I
Um,
feel like if we look back at the S&P, we just had a shift in power, caused by these tariffs, right? So we're back at the same prices in the index as we were, what, in 24. So we're
the
back to
beginning of the year, yeah, basically.
yeah, we're back to 24 prices. And all we've really done is shift power into the White House, right? With the tariffs, meaning it's a power grab, and we'll see how this plays out over a little more time. But there's some breakouts, like I said with Toast, PODD, which is like another one that really broke out, and these are it's an insulin company. Right. Now, again, tomorrow we'll see because tonight they said they're going to cut drug prices 30 to 80%.
Yeah, I mean the
So that
healthcare and biotech has been
broadcast
underperforming.
it as that, but basically
Yeah,
they're going to price fix. Again, what's good for the whole country for 300 million people, I don't know, right? But they're just attacking this industry, and um, the headlines tomorrow are going to be brutal, right? Like Trump came out and they said they're going to cut prices 30 to 80%. So that's a populist kind of socialist type of idea is price fixing again. So it's, maybe good for the country because of healthcare costs, but does it really solve anything? Are we a free country at that level? So again, I don't own this sector. Do you own anything in this sector?
I don't.
Even
And
Eli Lilly was kind of forecast. Like if you look at Lilly's chart, seems like the news has been out,
yeah, it's
right?
been under distribution the
Yeah.
past
And so
few
let's
months.
see, like you
Yeah,
look at the last 2 weeks and it was ugly.
yeah.
And now you see the news. I mean, this could be a mess tomorrow. That's where they're going to come for. Because obviously with the Ozempic pricing. So I would assume that's in it. So could be good news for fat America. And listen, as someone who pays in a lot to healthcare, I, it's hard for me to argue, but I hate to see kind of a decree from the top fixing prices. So I think you still got to be really careful. What looks interesting to you?
I mean, there are quite a few earnings breakout that have the potential to follow through, like Cloudflare breakout. So we watch for some consolidation, continuation higher. Um, I own some hood, obviously big breakout. I had some call options that most of which I closed. PLTR pulled back to the rising 20-day and it's bounced back quickly. It's the strongest cybersecurity name, and the other ones in the space pull back after earnings.
Yeah, so there's some chop. It's not clear that it's all systems go, and that's because policy is still not clear.
Google is, Google, Apple, the two weakest Max 7 stocks. Google sold
Yeah.
off last week on
Yep.
some news that supposedly Apple is adding a AI search,
Yep.
and
I mean,
Yeah,
that's half the market,
yeah.
right? The question is Google's AI product just got voted best over OpenAI again in Polymarket. So, this could just be the market's being wrong. I'm a buyer of Google and these, not, it's just a great company that I'll buy. I wrote about it today. Facebook's market cap or Meta's market cap is 10% below Google's now. It's the closest I think it's ever been. So that's more from Google stalling and Facebook's recovery the last 2 years. So that's interesting. But Microsoft is the one that's winning,
Yeah,
right? If
Microsoft is the
Microsoft,
leader. They made a sweet deal with OpenAI and making a ton of
unbelievable
money.
deal.
Yeah.
Look at the monthly. So they are obviously the deal they cut with OpenAI guarantees them first or second place in AI. And they don't have to worry about legacy search business, right? Um, and they have, like Google, an amazing cloud business, burgeoning. So hats off to Satya for that deal because he just tore Sam Altman and the VCs, or the later stage VCs, a new one, because he's taken, I don't know, 20% of revenue or 30% of revenue. And it's just an enormous um, headwinds for AI if they stop growing and or take a step backwards, God forbid. So there's a lot of risk out there in the venture world because there's just so much money piled into AI, and Apple and Google may end up in a war that wins, right? And the VCs could just be left sucking wind. Right now, OpenAI is right there, right? My wife uses it, my daughter uses it. I don't know what your and my son uses it. What's your choice?
Yeah, I'm using Google and Grok. Those two.
Okay.
Like
You're
I
not even
stopped.
using OpenAI yet.
I used to use it last year, but to me it's more convenient just to use Google and or Grok on Twitter, and those two are enough for me.
Okay. And StockTwits is using Gemini for most of its stuff. So, and I use Gemini. So again, it's the VC markets are really leaning into OpenAI and the competitors. And if you look at Microsoft, um, it seems like they're getting the biggest benefit out of it. So, so that may not affect the public market so much if Microsoft is the ultimate winner and has to tuck in OpenAI at some point to keep it alive. But right now, it kind of seems like a Microsoft Google race. Okay, I'm trying to think of anything.
I mean,
Let's look.
there is a lot going on. Like educational stocks have been super strong, and I
Give
guess
me give me a couple of examples.
people are expecting redistribution in the way the government is gonna spend money on education, like ATG, for example. It's a new multi-year high, new all-time highs, a big breakout last week. UTI, like every single basically educational stock
Wow,
has been doing really well
wow.
lately.
What do these companies do? Secondary education.
Yeah.
Online post-secondary, American public education. These are unbelievable charts. What's the monthlies look like on these?
Monthly
Wow.
has been choppy, but that big breakout here in 2024, basically it doubles since then.
Yes, sir. That was a huge base. What do they do, Ivan?
The
Adtel.
same. Post-secondary education.
Hmm.
Like,
This this may go to this may be going to just trade school, like re-educating people for the workforce. Interesting.
typically, you used to see educational stocks outperform during recessions, but I think this time there might be a different reason, just because they're talking about using government funds in a different manner, and also, some of that money going to private schools. So I guess they expect some of those companies to benefit, and that's why the market is beating up their stocks. Like I don't know the details, but I know that this sector has been one of the strongest, and there've been strong breakouts uh,
Okay.
in it.
Okay. Good find there. I mean, obviously, I should have caught that. Were we talking about
Yeah,
these?
I've been talking about it for the past 2 weeks. So
Okay.
if you're following me, you probably know about it. There are a lot of, good looking charts, breaking out and setting up. I mean, as of Friday, I thought that many of the leaders are a bit extended to chase them.
Mhm.
And I would prefer to see some sideways consolidation or a pullback, but tomorrow we're gonna get another significant gap higher. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a fade, at least initially. The gap would fade and maybe close the gap.
Yeah.
But there's so many deep buyers, so many underinvested people that I'm thinking that dips are not going to be big and they're going to be bought.
I just don't know. It, I just don't know. I'm not following enough of these new, like education was new to me. It's just a reorganization of people's watch lists. I mean, the interesting is crypto, right? The altcoin
Yeah,
market
huge
is,
moves last week as it seems like, I mean, when the Fed says uncertainty and potential for higher inflation, uh, obviously you see gold and crypto going higher. And yes, we saw big moves in Bitcoin and especially in Ethereum, uh, but also Solana, the three major ones. I'm not really following other than those three,
no,
but
either am I. Either am I. But I think again, when you lose leadership in the public market, like if I was looking at United Healthcare, I'm looking at United. We look at Google, United Healthcare, Apple. Like we're talking about stocks that are going now backwards in 2021 prices, right? And a lot of the a lot of the new money just will never learn how to trade small caps. They'll go into alts. You know what I mean? Like so there's just a lot going on because globally, if risk is on, then a lot more people may turn to crypto, right? And derivatives. And
yeah,
so
Coinbase is interesting. They seem to be underperforming compared to what's going on with in the rest of the crypto world, and they just announced an acquisition of a options crypto company. So they're
yeah, it's
growing
a
their offering.
multi-billion dollar acquisition. My problem with Coinbase is that I like everything about it except the product. Meaning, I had an incident last week and the company helped me out, right? It was user error where I thought my account had been wiped out. I get so many text messages,
Yeah, I
Ivan.
got those too, but
But I
uh,
mean, it's unacceptable. Like I get it. Like I
yeah,
know it's user beware, but like that doesn't happen to me at Goldman Sachs or Robinhood. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I get it, but it's also just, I think that's what you're starting to see here. For a $50 billion company, you've got to be able to solve for hacking and, otherwise it's hard to grow. Like you can't get the over 50 crowd if the over 50 crowd is worried about their account being zeroed out because of a phishing message. So I think
there's
this also goes to why the cyber companies are doing so well. But again,
yeah,
you and I can't afford to keep paying for cyber products. It's got to be Coinbase and the other companies. So you can see why cyber is working, but you can also see why Coinbase is kind of treading sideways because
yeah. I mean,
it's an
definitely
American
underperforming.
business, and
I mean,
eventually your customers have to feel like their money's going to be there.
yeah. I mean, people now have a lot more choices where they can deal with select crypto, but Coinbase obviously remains the main portal.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, the market is worried
Yeah.
about it, and the stock is underperforming, considering what's going on in crypto. Like you would have think that at least they will be above their 200-day, but they're not.
Yeah.
Uh, so they're
There's
actually
definitely a
weak.
reordering, right? United Healthcare, pharma, biotech out, crypto in, right? You could argue that like that's not good. Um, long term, we need investments in pharma and biotech. And but crypto is replacing a lot of the financial system, and stable coins are an amazing feature product.
And yet
So
we've seen some significant moves in
what's the
financials.
market cap now on day? 2 billion. I mean,
2 billion.
that thing was down into the hundreds of millions.
Yeah, it went from
The
five
banking
to
app.
160.
So it's still a tiny company. So they're going to have to do a reverse stock split. Wow. So it's back at I don't know if it's SPACed back in the day.
No, I don't think so. But then
But
another
I think it
one,
was a SPAC. I think it
here
was
you go, is Cecil.
yeah, you were talking about this one.
Yeah, from 1 to 80, yeah, in a year and a half. I don't
60.
even know what they do.
Well, it's the
Digital
same. If you don't
payments.
know what they do and you're trading it, who are we to make fun of crypto
Wow, it's a
altcoin traders?
short-term trade. So,
No, but I'm saying who are we to make fun of altcoins?
oh,
If
I'm not making fun of
you
that. No.
aren't, but I mean, I'm talking about mainstream people just sticking their head in the sand. Not you, but like Main Street will say, "What about altcoins?" Meanwhile, the stocks that are working are kind of like alts in themselves,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
In a
yeah,
way, yeah.
meaning you're trading and you don't know what it does.
I mean, at least you can see it has earnings. With that, obviously, you
Okay.
can cook earnings 1,000 different ways, but
No, I
uh,
get what, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying this is what I worry about is that if you build it, they will come, and they've built a secondary system of money, and the kids are going to play it. Like the next Ivan Hoffs, the next swing traders can trade anything.
yeah, as long as there is
Yeah. As
liquidity,
long as there's
people
liquidity.
will trade anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the takeaway this week. All right. Great week. Have a great week, everybody. Ivan, thanks as usual.
Thanks, Howard. See
Okay.
you next week.